Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of Overcomers, where ordinary people do extraordinary things, overcome extraordinary things to become better humans. Particularly today. Today is a personal one. Today, I'm talking to my brother from another mother, my kid from another mother. He's family. When I talk about this young man, and I say this young man because the things he's gone through, I should be talking to an 80-year-old man, 75, 80-year-old man, who's telling me, back in the day, I went through all this, reminiscing. No. This young man I'm talking to today has gone through 2 bouts of cancer, a whole lot of other things he's gone through, and he's here today to tell you his story. And I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Nate. I'm going to let Nate explain his story to you. How you doing, Nate? How you doing, my friend?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. It's good to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you, man. Like I said, you have a story to tell. And like I said, I should be talking to a 70, 80-year-old man. But I'm talking to a guy he's only 40 years old, y'all. He's not 40. He's going through all the story he's going to tell you. Keep that in mind. He's only 40. But he survived all this stuff to come here to tell you, to help you in your everyday struggles. So I'm just going to say, Nate, you can start where you want to start, my friend. You can walk us through the beginning, wherever you want to do, because you have such a story.
So I think one of the most important things about my story that I like to touch on, or that I try to let people know from the rip, is I'm nothing special. I'm no one special, right? I don't have a college degree. I'm not, overtly wealthy. I'm not anything that gave me any magic. I am blessed. I'm blessed to have 2 loving parents. I'm blessed to have friends and family. I'm blessed to have a roof over my head. I am blessed in a lot of those variety of ways, but I'm not some hidden genius. I'm not a billionaire. And, ultimately, a lot of more decisions I made in my life than less have been dumbass decisions. I have lived more of my life being dumb than I have making good decisions. And my youth was definitely that. I ended up homeless in Philly in 2010 to 2012-ish when I got sober. I got sober because I was involved in a shooting a couple blocks away from Temple campus. The morning after I had gotten questioned and subsequently arrested as a co-conspirator to the shooting. Once I got bailed out and I met with a lawyer, he said I had to go to rehab. I went to rehab on September 9th of 2012, and September 13th was the first day I had gone without a mind or mood altering chemical. And that was one of the wildest journeys of my life. I ended up going to Richmond, then I ended up moving back to Annapolis. Sobriety journey really taught me what connection means to other humans. That was the first time I ever really learned how to build a loving relationship where I was a giving human being and how much that meant. And that, I will say, that is something that is carried as a thread through my entire life. At this point, I'm 24. I stay sober a few years. I'm still fighting the court case. And at 4.5 years sober, I end up going to jail in Philly. I plead guilty to 2 counts of first-degree aggravated assault, 2 counts of criminal conspiracy, a gun charge, a few other things. And I end up getting 11.5 to 23 months, which puts me in the city. So I end up doing 10.5 months in the city jail of Philadelphia. And then I get released. I celebrated my 5th year sober in there. I stayed sober in there. And I tried to just continue to try to be a helpful individual in there. What I really found was a sense of self-assurance and peace within myself in there. I was, you're alone. Mm-hmm. even every single conversation you have, you're alone. Even if you have a cellie, if you have friends. And so you got to be okay with yourself.
Wow.
The longest I spent, it was never solitary, but the longest I spent was in a holding cell for 18 hours. No
Wow.
TV, like nowadays, no TV, no phone, no nothing. It was like by myself in a cell. I had no books. It was me in a cell for 18 hours. Like, yeah, you got to be okay with yourself.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
I get out of jail in what, November. A year later, a week before Christmas, I got diagnosed with testicular cancer. Yeah, Christmas time has always been like I get real weird about it. So what? This puts me at 27.
Oh,
So they do surgery, they take my testicle, and then I have a little period of chill. A
really?
little, yeah, yeah. I end up getting married. Um, that time honestly was one of the darkest periods of my life. I'll be honest.
Wow.
Because I lost sight of everything. I got really cocky, and like I became the person, and I became one of those selfish suckers of society where everybody owed me everything. And then I found that I didn't like anybody anymore, and then I found that everything became a chore, you know, and everybody was just a pawn in my game, and I absolutely was miserable.
Damn.
And so it's wild to think that like one of the calmest periods of my life was I was probably the most sad, lonely, depressed I've ever been. Um, but that was really, really good for me because it let me know something that I think, that I reiterate to everybody, which is we don't have a linear path in life, and it's okay to fall short.
Yeah.
It's okay. And what happened is I got pulled out of that, you know, by a group of people who loved me, and who I had built relationships with when I was a positive giving member of society, and that, saved me. Um, and then the most recent chapter that's been wildly full started in December of 2022 when I fully detached my pec in the middle of a powerlifting meet. Powerlifting has been kind of what helped me recenter after my first bout with cancer. It was kind of what made me feel like I was okay with, like I felt like a man. I felt productive. I felt energetic. I felt youthful. I didn't feel sick. And that really helped pull me out of the dark spot that I was in. And it helped me start being able to give back and build a sense of community again. So that got taken from me. The second I got healed from that, I ended up divorcing my wife. Shortly after that, I had hip surgery for a torn labrum that started bothering me. And as I'm recovering from that, I end up with a second round of cancer. The cancer had come back. I finished chemo on December 3rd of last year, and am cancer free now. And it has, like you said, when I talk about it like that, I go, jeez. I go, holy crap. Because I skimmed over a lot of the like glossy fun parts, like the haha fun parts, like
Mm-hmm.
when I get to travel the country on a bus, right? Or the fact
Mm-hmm.
that I've seen a jam band called Fish 101 times.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, so like it's not like my debaucherous teenage years were spent like I was traveling down to southern Florida and like eating exorbitant amounts of hallucinogenic drugs in a field, and my mom had no idea where I was.
Wow.
So I skipped over a lot of that chock full stuff, but like that didn't really teach me many lessons. But I do think it's important to note, because the other thing is like I will say, like, I've met people and I've had these moments where I say, well, how did we get here? How did we get here? Because it was fun. Because for a really long time it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
If if me being a debaucherous kid wasn't fun, I wouldn't have done it for so long. Right. And I
That's
mean,
true.
and that is a bigger lesson in life, right? Like we look at like our fitness levels, right? As a trainer, I think about that. We look back, how did we get this bad? Because it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep.
Taco Bell objectively tastes really good and it's really easy to overeat. Like,
That is
and
true.
so like giving yourself a little grace when you look back and you're like, how did we get here? Like, so that is an important thing to touch on in my story is like, yeah, I'm really stubborn, I'm really hard-headed, and I use that as a positive thing now, but like that definitely had me chasing fun for a number of years that I should have been growing up.
But I would say this, Nate. Everybody who grows up go the same thing. Some things a little more different. Your story is a little bit more unique than others, but we all go through it. We all do some crazy stuff that we're young. We don't think about repercussions. We don't think about down the road. We do it because it's fun. We
Yeah,
enjoy it.
we're invincible.
Yes, we dying, death, what sickness?
And
Oh
the other thing I say all the time is like I didn't have consequences. Like the consequences weren't real, you
no,
know? Like
no.
I didn't end up locked up. I only got arrested once. I learned my lesson real quick. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got arrested for a litany of felonies and I had a $500,000 bail. So like I really messed up when I messed up. But
Yes,
that's what makes it easy is like there's no consequences. The first
a-
time or the second or the 10th. It
and
takes a long time.
and that's the truth, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. They just think it never ends. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it do end. Sometimes it ends before you even expect it to end, but it will end. And then the lesson is, what do you learn once it ends? Do you just regret it, or do you really learn from it? As Nate's telling you, you should learn from it because if you don't, he's fortunate because we all know that it could have gone a whole lot worse for him had he continued that particular path.
Oh,
So,
I'm dead. I mean, if you replay my life 100 times, I don't know if there's anyone but me that makes it out alive.
mm,
Right? Like we're through it all. Through just the blessings of like finding the cancer early the first time. So all I had to do was surgery because I could have just not found it, you
yes,
know? To the only reason I found it the second time was because I had the hip surgery and I was having stomach problems.
wow,
Like so I could be dead there. I should be dead because like to be completely transparent about it, I was addicted to heroin and crack cocaine. That doesn't have 100% survival rate. I'm rolling the dice every time I shot up. And like I shouldn't be alive. And so like I had to grow. I had to change. And I think
hmm
the first step to that is being able to process it. It's not something that I shoved down. It's something that I had to face head on.
yeah,
you know, that's like one of the things about sobriety that that I get taught early is like issues you approach them. You don't hide, you don't shy away. You just attack it head on. Interpersonal, life, spiritual, physical.
hmm hmm
Don't come to me and tell me your ankle hurts without telling me when your doctor's appointment is.
so true, so
And
true.
and I was taught that very early on. So that is how I was able to attack freaking all the other crap. And so I'm super thankful for I would nothing else would have existed without sobriety. And I don't say that to promote and say everybody needs to get sober. No, but it taught me the basic principles of like being giving, having faith, loving your neighbor, being humble. It taught me these ways on how to move that I'm like, I wonder if that works in school. And then I go to school and I get good grades. I wonder if that works in jail. It works. I wonder if it works. And it's like, I don't care how you find it. If you find it through God, if you find it, you know, through sport, if you find it through anything, it's just that is the first step is finding something that allows you to attach principles in your life to face problems head on. Before that, we can't talk about anything else. Right? We can't
That's
talk about
true.
how to attack the problem if you're not willing to attack it, because I see that so often.
Yes, we are now, Nate, live in a world where everybody wants to think this is easy. They think, oh, if I take this pill, it solves the problem. If I do this, it solves the problem. If it does that, no. It actually takes putting in some work, doing the work to solve your problem.
Or they just ignore it and put a different tag on it. It becomes a personality trait rather than a shortcoming.
Yes, yes, because you don't have to work on it. At that point, if I just say it's this, oh, everyone goes to that, so I ain't gonna really work on it.
You have to accept it, or you're not part of my life. Well, listen, that works in some things, but that doesn't work for toxic personality traits or unresolved trauma. And
Absolutely.
the second part is, I think the most insidious and the most common one. It's people who haven't faced what they're currently going through or what they went through, and they keep repeating the same cycle of behavior because they're not trying to learn that lesson, trying to learn the lessons that struggle taught, right?
Yep.
Because I could go through each of them individually, but the jail taught me to be self-assured and okay with myself. Cancer, the second time, taught me to be trusting in others and to love them as much as, and to let them love me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like each thing taught me more about myself and how to navigate in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I only know that because I thought long and hard about them. Going through them, I didn't have the time. I honestly just 5 days ago feel like I finally processed my second round of cancer, because that's something I don't try to do. I've never tried to process what I'm going through while I'm going through it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
proponent of eating the elephant one bite at a time. Like it's what is it? Head down, eyes forward. Like
Yes.
look at that next step. And then after the fact is when I go through it. I actually talk about this with my therapist, like compartmentalizing and how it can be healthy, but being able to balance it. But yeah, going through it, unfortunately, there's no novel concept. It's just, for me, I do it out of sheer anger and spite. I'm going to be honest.
Oh,
I,
really? Huh?
I do it because in my head, I'm too proud to let this be the end. That was
Yeah.
literally, there were multiple moments during my last bout with cancer where I thought that in my head. I said, I'm not going to let this take me out. This is not it. I'm too cool to let he died at 36 from cancer be my obituary. I want to get eaten by a tiger, right? I want to
Yes.
base jump without a parachute. I want to do something where everybody's like, okay, yeah, he's wild enough, that makes sense.
Yes. Yes.
And if I had one piece of advice, I don't care how stupid it is. I don't care if it's just to spite your ex. If you can find one little bit, it is such a powerful emotion. If you can find one little bit of spite when you're fighting through and struggling through something, it is such a powerful emotion to help you through those really tough moments that I don't live in it. It's just those really tough moments. I imagine it at the gym trying to build my revenge body. That's how I squeeze out that extra last couple reps. I do that same thing on a grander, more weirder scale.
But you need that sometimes. You really do. You need to. What did 50 Cent said in one of his songs? I use your hate for my energy.
Yeah, and he's the prime example of hating.
Yes.
He is the king of being petty, and and I don't know. It just sounds so. It's not motivational, so I feel so silly saying it, right? But it's so goddamn practical.
Yep. Exactly.
It just. I don't know if we were recording or if it was before we were talking. When I said I'm not a very happy person. I'm okay and I'm content, but I don't do well when people are let's go, you can do it. And I'm like, I know I
Yeah.
can do it. It's about like wanting to, and it's about the amount of energy, and it's gonna suck a lot.
Yep. Exactly.
But when
Exactly.
somebody, but when somebody says you're gonna let it win, then I'm like, oh hell no.
There you go.
You're gonna let them be? No,
Mm-mm.
no.
That is
You
so
know,
true. That is so true. Ladies and gentlemen, let me jump in for a quick second. When this young man told me that before his second bout started, he was like, "Oh, it could end up one of two ways. Either I'm going to fight this and I'm going to survive, or I won't be here in a few months." And he told me that, ladies and gentlemen, with a straight face. And it took all I had not to just bust out in tears. But I said, "No, he got this. It's going to be a long walk. It's going to be a hard walk, but he's going to fight through this. He's going to fight through it. It was going to be next week or next month, but he had to go through a whole lot of trauma before he even crossed over that river. But he was willing to fight for it. And that's basically, this man is a fighter. And he's basically telling you, you have to fight. You can't just sit around and allow things to happen to you. You have to put on your boots, your work boots, put on your hard hat, and start fighting back at life. This a walking, talking example of it. So I
100%.
had to say that.
I mean, the way I think about it is I'm not in the results business, right? And that's why I said that to you. Is that
Mm-hmm.
was me essentially accepting like I'm not in the results business. I'm in the effort business. And
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know what the result of any fight will be. But I'm just going to do it. Exactly. I'm going to throw the gloves on and just go to work. And whatever happens at the end, we'll worry about it at the end. We'll worry
Mm-hmm.
about it when the rules change. But for right now, you laid out the rules. Let's throw the gloves on and handle this. Like, and it becomes really freeing in the moment to be able to do that when you're able to step into that for any major issue,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? If
And
you're
you're
like,
proving it. You're proving it right now because, again, as you said, at any point, any one of these points, most people give up. If you have first ballot cancer, it's rough. If you survive the first ballot, you're like, okay, I'm good. Because I think it's like 5 years is the window after the first bout with cancer that you quote cancer free.
yep, and I lasted 8.
So you were in the clear.
Yeah.
Literally, you're like, oh, I got nothing to worry about until something came up that you had to worry about. And then you put yourself back into that mindset, which a lot of you guys will understand. It's like you beat it. I'm done with it, and then it comes back. You're like, oh my god, I got to fight this again. And you do have a choice. You could not fight it again and just say, oh, my days are done, or you can do like Nate did. Say, you know what, we're gonna fight this until whatever happens. And he did that.
And I had a lot of I have to give credit to my like family, right? Like not just blood family, but chosen family. Like because there's a lot of unknowns at the beginning. There was a lot of unknowns for me, and I, I had no idea what it looked like. So I like in those early moments, leaning on people was paramount. And you have those moments in anything where you have to like you're gonna have to lean on others because like I didn't know if there was something to I didn't know if there was a fight to be had.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know. And there are moments in your like I call them death moments. And I've been blessed with a little too many of them. But like moments where it is like truly like I got to be okay with that being an option.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody should ever have to face those alone. And I think that facing those with, like I said, chosen or blood family is one of the big make or break differences in how you're able to approach a problem.
Nate, that's very true because if you're going through something as traumatic as this and you have no support system, where do you get the energy from? Who motivates you? What's your purpose of living? Because if you're like, damn, I got cancer, and I don't see anybody who relatives, not relatives, family, not fellow friends, if they're not around me, then really, what the hell? I thought I meant more to people than this, because that was what I would think. Like, damn, I'm fighting cancer. I'm not fighting a toenail that broke. I'm not fighting, a broken finger. cancer. And if nobody can rally to me with cancer, then damn, what kind of person? What kind? First, I ask, what kind of person am I? Because
Yeah.
if I'm that bad of a person, then they're like, well, fuck him. He died. He died. Like, wow, what the hell I do with my life to deserve this? But if you know you're a good person and you still don't have people around you, you're like, okay, maybe the people I'm surrounded around really ain't my friends, and they're really showing me at this point. So that's another motivating factor. Ah, you think I'm going to die from this? No, 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 no. I'm gonna survive just so I can tell your sorry asses that damn it, you weren't here for me for the fight, but I fought through this and survived, and now I know who you are, and I believe who you are, and I don't have to worry about me asking you about nothing or counting on you for nothing again. You show me who you are.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I mean that actually is what's been driving me most recently. Because I'm like, I feel like such a petty individual, like publicly saying like all of this, but like it really is useful and true. But like I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna thrive. Like you knew me before, you left me during. Just wait till after. But it is truly so effective. It is such an effective method for me to like hone in those little moments where things get tough, because I mean ultimately like that's what we're talking about, right? Because there any long struggle, there's periods where it's easy, where we're like, this is a breeze.
Absolutely,
um
absolutely.
it's just, I mean, it's just those moments of doubt that really make or break people.
Yes, yes, and again, a lot of people, like we talked about earlier, that a lot of people think they really have a lot of friends that support them. And I always say, hey, go through some things, and you'll see real quick if they're in for the long haul or they were just in to ride the coattail.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them understand that, like I said, they won't be able to help you the way they want to, but the thing is, you're there. The key is at least you're there. If they need help, need anything, you can reach out to them and know they're going to take care of you. Know they're going to try to do their best because they understand your struggle. They don't say,
Yeah.
"Oh, he got cancer. Yeah, he weak. Why should I go get him food? All I got to do is get up, go to the refrigerator." Well, yeah. If he did have cancer, it would be no problem for him to get up and go to the damn refrigerator and fix something for himself.
And
But
you'd be
he's
amazed at the
tired.
people that came out of the woodwork too, though, because there were people that fell off, but
Mm-hmm.
because like I had a lot of time to think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there and like I realized like kind of how I viewed it was like, what was our friendship? What was our relationship before?
Mm-hmm.
What is it now? Are you going above and beyond? Are you keeping it the same? Have you backed off? Like, what's that? So there were people where like we were not in the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Who were DMing me twice a week, just saying, just checking in to see how you're doing. And I'm like, you don't know me from Adam,
Mm-hmm.
but you're taking time. Like, it's not like I posted something and they replied. They thought about me independent of me saying anything and just wanted to know how I was doing. And like that little thing of going above and like, I don't need them to come over and do X, Y, or Z. That's not,
Mm-hmm.
but like also pay attention to the people who do those little things that are extra, that might not seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of the relationship you have, like that, like you said, it lets you know who people are both ways. Because like I had an
Mm-hmm.
interpersonal relationship that taught me the Medea rule, which is when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had to learn that lesson a couple times because I didn't. And then I ended up learning that lesson, and it does make it does make having detachment from interpersonal relationships helpful, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I think it's hard for people for one reason. People put too much stake into what others think.
Yeah, Nate, that's a problem. That's a
It's
societal
really hard
problem.
to it's really hard to let somebody go when you care about their opinion of you.
Very true.
So even if they're not offering you what you need, because I like for you, right? Like you said before, we're family. I love you.
Yep. And
But
love you too.
your opinion of me is
Mm-hmm.
not my business.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you think reasonably highly of me, or we wouldn't be having this conversation, and I'm blessed for that. But it's not my business if that changes. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how close or far away, no matter how close or distant somebody is to me, I'm just going to keep trying to be a better person. And if those who stay, cool. Those who leave, cool. And that gives me the freedom to make sure that the people around me are the people that are going to fill my cup as much as I fill theirs. So that
You,
when it all hits the fan, I don't have to question it. I don't have to worry about it. And you know what happens if a few fall off? I'm good because I know the vast majority are going to stay.
there you go. There you go. And people need to understand that, Nate, is there's people gonna be in your life for a reason or season, and you can't question. If you're being a good guy and they fall off or whatever, you can't go back and say, well, why are we not close anymore? Why are we not doing this anymore? Because you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything to change the relationship, so obviously they changed. We can't spend our lives worrying about why people come in our lives because life, as we both know, is finite. We don't have to the end of whatever. We had that period of time, the year, and the dash. All we really got is a dash.
Yeah,
So we can't worry about anybody else's opinion of ourselves or what they think about us. Because if I didn't do you wrong, then that's a you thing. That's not a me thing. And I'm
exactly.
gonna figure it out.
And even when I do somebody wrong, right? It's still not my business. Like, because I do people wrong often. I'm not perfect. I fail at life. But when I do somebody wrong, I acknowledge what I did wrong. I said I won't do it. I acknowledge what I should have done. And I said, and I'll do my best not to do it again. You know what happens if they never want to talk to me again? Okay. You know what happens if they forgive me? Okay. You know what happens if it's something in the middle? Okay.
Absolutely.
I clean my side of the street. I'm good. I'm good.
Yes.
And and so it's like regardless of like what I do, because I mess up a lot because my intentions are good, but my execution is bad. I'm not the best at executing interpersonal, so I got to clean up a lot of messes. Where like I'm like I didn't mean to make them feel bad, so I had to learn real quick that when words leave my mouth, it's like a painting that gets released. Like it doesn't matter. How you
Hmm.
interpret it is everything. So I'll clean my side of the street and keep it pushing.
That's all you can do. That's really all you can do because we're humans. We're gonna make mistakes. We'll learn from them. And if you're not grown, and I go back to people who never grow up, uh, if you keep a child mentality or a childlike mentality in your adult life, you would never grow big enough to understand the lessons of life and how to truly grow in your life. A lot of people, by talking to them, like, that's so childish. Why the hell you think like this? But there's some issues they never dealt with, and they chose not to deal with it. So rather than to not deal, they just want to pass the crazies on to everybody else that they meet. I got nothing to do with that. Your parents should have raised you better. What can I tell you? And if
Yeah.
that's the case, you should have learn. If they didn't teach you something, you should say, okay, they didn't teach me that. Let me go ahead and learn this because the real learning happens after you leave your house, after you get over 18. That's when you truly learn and say who I should be and who I shouldn't be. And you have to put the work in. It's not one of those arbitrary things. You have to. Or else, how many people you know, Nate, every job they get fired. Every time they get a relationship, they break up. And who do they blame? The other person.
Oh yeah.
It's never me. It's them. At some point, if you look at your track record, you lose a whole lot of people based on what they did. And at
Yeah.
some point, you gotta look and say, what did I do? What's going on with me that's caused me to have these bad relationships and bad situations to grow from?
Oh yeah. I mean, my general philosophy in all of it is it's both of us, always. Good and bad. Beautiful and ugly. It's both of us. And it
Yes,
goes back to I don't care what their part was. I'm good.
there you go.
Was mine positive or negative? If it was negative, clean it up. If it was positive, keep it pushing. You know? And like, you know, to circle it back, like everything I've been in, I one of the biggest moments of it was when I was locked up. Um, before I went in, I was stupid. I got into a little fling with a girl. Oh no, I'll stay. I'll talk to you. No, no, no. No, I'll stay. 2 months in, I call. She's back with her ex. And I didn't hear from her again. I never talked to her again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I wasn't ready for that. You
No.
know, I wasn't okay regardless, because I wasn't okay regardless of what she said or what she did. And you learn real quick that you got to be,
Yes, you have to be.
or
Eh,
that or you get completely screwed in the journey, and everything else get right, like you lose sight of the importance of what you're going through, and it throws a haze over all of the other important growth. And
yes.
I know this makes me sound like I don't care about or cherish like friendships, and like I want to make it clear I do. I love people, and I give to people, and I love being a caring, giving friend.
Hmm?
But if I don't have anybody to do that to, I'm okay. If I'll do it to strangers, and if I don't get it back, that's okay, because I'll get it back in some way. And that's kind of I want to make that distinction, that like I actually care. I care that I have people in my life, and I'm thankful for them. Um, I just sound like overly Buddhist, where it's like, I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm going to go live in the woods alone.
I have no attachment. Don't attach yourself to anything because everything is temporary. So yeah, and again,
There is
it's a
some
little bit
truth.
uh, very true, very very true. But if you're dealing with personal relationships, you have to understand people. I always say people invest too much in things too early. Because you don't really know a person. So you can't really say, "Oh, I'm gonna throw my whole heart into you." You don't really know them. It's like any relationship. You don't really know them. You're really trying to figure them out. You have to be a logical rather than an emotional person when you're dealing with relationships because emotions, it will be perfect. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be, peaches and cream. Logically, you said, no, that's not how people are. You're not like that. We're not peaches and cream.
No.
We know that there's some pretty dirty parts within our being, but you have to be more logical than more emotional because emotional will always get you tied with some things that logically you say, I wouldn't have gone this far. But people have to kind of come to grips with it. But that goes back to how you handle early trauma, how you handle growing up, because all that has a lot to do with, how we end up going through our lives because based on how we're taught and how we're trained, that's how we kind of carry things until we make some decisions ourselves as adults to say, hey, this ain't working for me. I got to change it up. So it's like you got to change your habit. But, some people find it the hard way and they keep doing it. Some people I know personally, it's like you are too damn old to keep making these same damn decisions at this stage. You don't gone through this stuff for years, decades, and you still making the same this issues and saying, I don't know what's going on. That means you need to stop, step back, take a step back, and then reevaluate what you're doing and then make a move forward. But a lot of people just keep doing it and hopefully work itself out. 9 times out of 10, it won't. It'll just keep bursting a situation or put you in a worse situation you were already in. People got to learn that lesson, though, Nate.
Oh yeah.
Some people never learn it. They never learn it.
I know. It's hard. It's hard though when you see people circling their heels, because we try to do these things where we tell them or we tell them, hey, this is, I don't have it. I hate calling it advice. I don't have advice for people. I have experience.
Yep.
This is my experience. This is what I did. You
Yes.
know, and
Yes.
but like you go to people, you're like, this is my experience. I've been through a lot of it.
Yes.
These are
Yes.
this is what I did, and these are the lessons I learned for myself. Maybe apply it. And you see people go, say my favorite word, but
But and ladies and gentlemen, let me
I
tell you
shut
what that
shut
we know
my
what
ears
that is.
off.
Everything I need y'all to understand this because I don't think a lot of people do. If you say that to someone, but they literally you have discounted and pissed on everything they told you before that. Because but is basically the yeah, you said it, but at that point, nobody no, no, don't
No,
do that.
you're
Just
excusing
listen.
you're excusing my experience and why it won't work for you, which is
Absolutely.
fine. But just say okay and then keep it pushing.
Thank you.
I'm guilty of it. I've done it. I get called out on it, and I say I'm so I'm like, I apologize. You know,
Yeah, we all do it.
I do it on little things, but I catch myself more often than not. And also
Yes.
when it comes to life advice, I like, it feels kind of cyclical, but I make sure that I'm getting it from people that got something for me. So I don't need to hit them with the butt. I just need to
No.
shut up and listen.
That is so true, my friend, because I've listened to a lot of older, smarter people when I was young, and I just took it all in. What they told me at the time wasn't really something I need to hear because I wasn't going through that. But at least I had it filed away, so if something did come up, oh, okay, I was smart enough to listen to them.
Hmm.
Smart. Put it away, and it may come out. Oh, somebody did tell me about that, so let me do it that way. Let me pull that out the drawer. But you gotta listen to people who are trying to tell you a way, not your way, but a way to solve a problem or a situation. You may not need it at that moment. You may take a part of it, some of it, none of it. But at least keep it so at least you can have something to say. Hey, somebody did tell me, I listened to it, and it helped me out, didn't help me out, and pass it on to the next person. Because again, this is life is all about making sure you make it better for everybody else behind you or people going through things that you went through. It's not about, oh, I survived, you figure it out. No. It's like
No, but at the same time, you want to. I shut my ears off when I hear somebody say "you should" a lot of times. You know,
oh
like don't,
no.
I'm just telling you what I did, right? I'm just telling you that like the periods of my life are this is the lesson I learned and what I've grown from. Like you said, somebody else's journey might be completely different, but somebody might resonate with those feelings, right?
Yes.
Because like I'm sure people have that feeling of feeling completely disconnected from society, from the world around them. Feeling like
Mhm.
nobody truly understands them and nobody loves them. Because that's how I felt before I got sober. Is I felt
And,
like a
and why
stranger.
and why would it why did you feel that way though? Why did you feel that way? Because again, what you just said, you had two parents, you had to struggle, you had, I mean, struggle in the person you was living house to house and pillar to pillar, post to post. So how did you get there? How did you get to in your head like, nobody really back me, nobody support me in who I am?
So I don't know when it happened, right? Because like that whole journey is really, really insidious.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
At first it wasn't that I felt disconnected, it's that I felt more connected, right?
Okay.
When I'm 13, 14, 6, like 13 to 16 and like drinking with my friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's us socializing and having fun, and that's how I'm building connection. It's really only once I get into, the later years where I'm, you know, using heroin, where I'm using a lot of cocaine, where I'm selling drugs, where relationships become transactional,
Mm.
where
Okay.
it's where you always have to protect what you have because everybody's trying to get it, and you always have to look at everybody else. What can I get from them? And everybody's trying to get a one over on you, and everything's dangerous, and you can't trust anybody. And and that's when you're in a constantly altered state of mind, and that's what every relationship you run into is.
Wow.
You very quickly it's learned behavior, right?
Yeah.
And so we have two learned behaviors: is nobody's trustworthy, and the only way to feel any connection is to be in an altered state. Those are the two things that were driving factors in my life in my youth.
Mm-hmm.
When I wanted to connect with my friends, we all partied.
Mm-hmm.
People will steal and rob me for my stuff. And so you combine those two and you end up in a situation where you don't trust anybody, you feel completely disconnected from them, but you're trying to chase that connection through getting as high as possible.
Wow. Wow. And that, yeah, with altered mind state, high, that you live in a paranoid life
Oh my
in a
God.
weird state. Oh,
I was a big curtain twitcher. Yeah. And so you just end up completely alone, and when you start doing this at 13, you've never learned the healthy developmental mechanisms to build a relationship. I still don't really know, and it might just be that my brain's weird, but like I walk up to pretty much strangers and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Nate. I had cancer." Or like, "Hey, I'm Nate. I went to jail." Or like I just like start openly sharing my life with people, and
mm-hmm.
people think I'm a weirdo because of it a lot of times, but I end up attracting a lot of the weirdos who can, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, like then I had to relearn how to do that.
Yeah.
You have to learn that from the ground up, how to be a person.
Wow. That,
I,
that- that's wow.
I was
That's
fair. I was feral. I couldn't manage being a part-time Target employee when I first got sober. I was
wow.
too irresponsible to be a part-time Target employee. I couldn't make it to my shifts on time, and I had my own car. I would show up.
Wow.
I would show up out of uniform. Yeah, I was feral. I didn't know how to function in the world. Dude, I had no idea really what taxes. Think about it. I didn't really pay taxes until I was 26.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you definitely been removed from the normal process of people getting jobs at 17, 18, going, college and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, I had like those jobs, but like that's back when like mom and dad would like be like, I paid your taxes, and I'm like, thank you, I love you, right? Like,
yeah.
but then like I didn't have a job, and then when I first got sober, I didn't have a job. Like I was unemployable.
Yeah, that's true. Because the first thing you can't do is say, "Have you ever been to jail?" No.
Oh no, it wasn't even that because I ended up working part time at Potbelly Sandwich Works.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
once I moved back to Annapolis, it was just I physically could not bring myself to work a schedule. I just didn't know how to work on a schedule and sleep like a normal person and like do those basic things.
Wow.
I mean, rehab was the first time I was regularly showering for a really long time. Or when I got to my mom's house before I went to
Yeah.
rehab. But yeah, like once everything blew up, I hadn't been regularly showering for months and months.
Wow.
Yeah. So like and like I said, like I wasn't always feral, but like when you live in that situation for an intense long period, it becomes learned behavior. That
Yeah.
becomes the new normal.
Wow.
And like I said, when you do that for years and years, you end up a 24-year-old who's emotionally 13, 14.
Oh my goodness.
And so like that was the first real building block was how do I be a human? How do I make myself accountable, responsible? How do I make myself somebody who can be depended on?
Hmm.
And now like I basically built a career, did a complete 180 and rebuilt a career, and now I own my own business. So
Hmm.
so it really did work. It just was a really long process of trying to figure out how to function. I still
And I
don't
think,
know.
and Nate, you bring a good point up. I think a lot of people don't realize that. I think when they're like, "Oh, you on drugs," and we try to clean you up. I don't know why nobody want to get out the streets, and they got places for them and all that. But then you realize if you live that lifestyle, that's all. That's pretty much what you know and what you're comfortable with, because everything else outside that is asking you basically to add some sort of boundaries and control in your life, which they don't have.
Yeah. And the other thing is you're not giving me a viable alternative.
Mm, mm-hmm.
You're telling me the drugs are the problem. I'm telling you the drugs are the solution. The
Mm-hmm.
drugs are a solution to a world that I can't trust and I feel completely disconnected from. So unless you
Gotcha.
give me a viable solution to how to solve feeling completely isolated and disconnected from the world, I am never going to give up those drugs. And I
I've
got given
never heard it that way.
and I
I've
got given
never
one.
heard it that way.
And I got given one and I trusted the process long enough because I didn't want to go to prison for like I think it was 16 years. I
Mm-hmm.
trusted it long enough that I ended up realizing I was connected with people. And then the work began. Okay, now you're connected. Now what do you do?
Wow.
Now the question that like that I don't think enough people ask themselves, how do you be a friend?
Touche.
You know?
Touche.
Because it is a balance. Like you were talking about like making sure that the people around you get elevated because being a friend is also making sure that you can be who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way I look at it when people pull from me and pull from me is I'm like, I'm not being myself for them. So I'm not actually being a friend. You're not getting Nate. You're getting some other version of me. So
Mm-hmm.
unless you fill my cup back up so I can be myself, this ain't going to work.
Yeah, that's true. Because again, you can't give everything of yourself. Then you have
No,
nothing for yourself.
no. But the primary thing of being a friend is being giving, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
being attentive and caring and giving of yourself to them.
And what you just said before is when you grow up and you know it's a transactional relationship, and then to fill a cup is a 180 difference.
Yeah,
That's a whole different mindset,
it's
and it's
terrifying.
hard to go from that mind. Yeah, exactly. If I go from everything's transitional, I can't transactional, I can't trust this person, to now I have to trust you and be able to help you when you need help, and you're going to help me. That
Well, it's even scarier. What I was told was help them. And I said, well, they're going to help me? And they said, I don't care if they do, help them.
oh,
And I said, okay. And so you just start, and then you're like, well, what happens when I need help? And then you get the help, right? Because you attract it
exactly,
because
exactly.
the people see you, even if you don't think you're the tightest or you're the closest, they see you and how you move, and they see when you need it, and they're like, don't worry, I got you. I've seen what you've done.
And because now you've healed yourself enough to understand that I can be vulnerable around them and they will help me.
Yeah.
The vulnerability is the key because again, you have to be able to say, I'm going to open myself up. And from a person who never did that before, that's a huge change to say
Yeah.
that I have to open myself up to trust someone, but I know I don't trust anybody.
Yes. And then you overcompensate, and I did that for a long time, where you start trusting everybody, and then you realize everything's not for everybody. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, that's true.
I you know I am a remarkably open person about myself and my life, but yeah, the thing I found was time. That's what's not for everybody.
Yes,
Not
yes.
everybody gets the same amount. Not everybody gets the priority.
They can't. They really can't because now you're dealing with a world, unfortunately, that there are people that are out there to try to use you, abuse you, and all that. But you have to be, um, and you know, if you go through enough, you can find them out pretty easily because
You
you
can.
know that mindset. You know how they're going to approach you, just how they move. So that's pretty easy to find.
And they don't stick around long, even if you're not going through something.
That's
They
true.
don't, because they can't keep up the facade for very long. They can't
That is
keep
very true.
it's just like consistency for me is a pretty good thing. Love me or hate me, I'm gonna be me.
Hmm.
You know, I'm pretty steadfast in my moods that don't really waver that much. And so like somebody's trying to manipulate the play, rig the game and show me a face that isn't truly theirs, it's not going to work.
And you
I'm
know,
gonna
Nate.
wear it down. But a lot of that, like you said, comes from learning from all of the crap.
Yes, and you have went through enough crap to understand what you want now, and that's to me is the biggest thing. We're all gonna go through a lot of things, but in the end, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to use that as a cross to bear, like, oh, everybody's treating me bad and all? Yeah, nobody cares about that. You need to be able to enjoy your life as much as you can, learn from your lessons, but don't use that lesson as an excuse not to move forward and not to do better. Because that's a cop out. You basically say, I've given up on life because people hurt me. Yeah, people hurt people all the time. That's just a given. But you have to learn a lesson from that. And like I said, you've learned you've learned many lessons, my friend. And to to end up at this point that and I want people to know what you're doing now because we done talked about your story. Now I want them to see life after you went through all the madness and what you're doing right now and how you're helping people and what you're doing to make people's lives better.
So right now I run my own training business, which is one of the most fulfilling things that I do, is being able to work one-on-one with people in a way that it's not just building strength or working out, right? It's building confidence. It's building self-assuredness. I have some special needs clients who are absolutely fantastic, and being able to see them start believing in themselves and do things they didn't think were possible is amazing. I'm in the midst of working on opening my own gym to try to expand, because I always want to try to think of how to maximize the amount of help
Hmm.
that I can provide. And I'm like, if I can create a space for everyone, then it's not just my clients, it's all of the members, right? Where we can provide the same thing, where strength is for everyone, and like building confidence through strength and fitness. I'm recently much more active in the recovery community. It's something that I've definitely fallen short on. I just like was going through the motions for a
Hmm.
while with it. And so I realized that I need to get out there and I need to be more helpful to people, because that is not just something near and dear to my heart, but I mean, people are dying nonstop from it. So it would be a disservice of me to be sitting here, you know, having been sober for that long and not be like, hey, I can help. Um, and something I haven't talked to anybody about, but that I've been considering and looking into, is actually trying to get into local politics and potentially trying to actually be more active in that, because I think that is an underutilized and it is not focused on nearly enough by the world. And I think we're going to have a shift towards focusing more on local elections in local politics, and people are going to realize that that's where the most change happens for our day-to-day life. And like I said, I just want to be in a position to maximize help, and so I'm trying to think of all the avenues in which I can do that.
Oh, that's beautiful. And this and I will put political discussion. I'm not even gonna go there, but the more people we have like you that's actually in the state and the county and municipal elections that's actually trying to help people, the better off we will be in the long run. Because again, drugs are not going to go anywhere. Because that's the other thing they keep thinking, like somehow that if we do these things we're doing, drugs is going to just people going to stop using drugs. No, you're going to make them use more drugs based on what's happening right now. But I'm glad. I'm glad. I didn't know that, but I'm glad you're trying to get into that, man. And I want the people to know, how can the people reach out to you if they want to talk to you?
Um, the best and easiest way to reach out if they want to talk to me personally is my Instagram account, which is goodluck.havefun. My company is called Resolve Barbell. We have a TikTok, we have an Instagram, we have a website. The website would be where you'd reach out for any sort of training or any sort of fitness related questions. But yeah, I'm trying to be more active on my TikTok, which is also the same name, good luck dot have fun, and trying to put myself out there. This is something that's remarkably uncomfortable for me. I like wouldn't have been able to do it if it weren't you sitting across from me. So that I'm trying to be more out there.
And I'm going to make sure I pull you out there because I'm also starting a thing with the channel called Hub of Hope, where I'm trying to bring in the best people, therapists, people like yourself, health wise, to bring you on board to make sure we get your mind, body, and soul correct because it's needed. It's really needed. And stories like yours motivate people to, I can do better. Because I've seen this young man, I've seen him, he's told me a story. I've gone through a lot worse or a lot, less than that, but he survived. You can survive. So that's why I definitely, I appreciate it. You know, Again, we had the discussion. I said, once you get well, once you win this second battle, I got to have you on here to tell your story. You won, and you won. I don't care about the 5 years, whatever. You won,
Yep.
and that's all that really matters. And before we end this, what's your last words you want to tell these people? You know, before we wrap this particular episode up.
I would probably just, it comes down to finding your reason, right? Finding your resolve is the tagline of my company for a reason, because whatever it is in those moments, find it and let it drive you through moment by moment. Let it drive you, whatever it is. But you have to find it and you have to know it and you have to harness it.
Couldn't end it even better than that. Because again, hey, this young man, I'm gonna have all his information, on my website. After we do this, you're gonna see all of it at the end. So, people, you can overcome anything if you put your mind to it. It's not gonna be easy. You can't take a pill. You have to put on the gloves, put on the hard hat, put on the shoes, get to work. So you can overcome anything. if you're willing to put in the work. With that, we're going to end this episode of Overcomers. And again, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, little like button, and come join us next time. Again, I got to thank my man Nate. And again, he'll be on again because I'm going to bring him on for some other things too. So it's not the first or last time you're going to see him. I'm going to get you out your shyness. I need you to, we're going to break you out all that. So,
right, good.
Cool. So until next time, people, peace and blessings.